just wanted to, I logged in early because I was afraid I might not get in again like last week.
Oh,
So
yeah, welcome to get in early.
Yeah, no, so I logged in 10 minutes ago just to see if I could get in. So that's why I'm actually on time. Okay, you can start.
Yeah, I believe, okay, today is September 21st, 2023. I believe it's 25th session. Okay, reading Urantia book with Heidi. So we'll continue reading paper 109, the relation of adjusters to universal creatures. We're going to read section 5, material handicaps to adjuster in dwelling. We're also going to read paper 94, Melchizedek's teachings in the Orient. We are going to read section 11 of that paper, Buddhist philosophy. So that's our basic plan. And also, Heidi, feel free to speak up for anything else. 今天是9月21号，2023年，我们继续读玉苒下之书109篇，这个思想调整者与他的宇宙造物的关系。第5部分，调整者内驻的物质障碍。然后我们还要继续读94篇，麦基喜德的教导在东方，然后第11部分，佛教哲学。那海蒂可以就是跟咱们讲一些就是分享一些他想跟大家分享的，这是今天的基本的计划就是这样子的。Heidi.
Yes. Here.
Yeah, it's your turn.
Here. Yes, it is the 25th session. I see in my notes. That's amazing. We've had 25 already, going strong. Looks like the Mariagandantas is a success. An ongoing ritual in America and Asia, a good partnership. So I'm excited, and I would like to say that, well, you can translate that.
他说，对，我根据我的记录，这是第25次会议，就是看来我们快乐的坚定不移者做得不错啊，然后这个他是很高兴跟大家分享。
Okay, we should take a moment to say be thankful for celebrate our 25th session anniversary.
他说那庆祝我们第25次会议。
We've done it. We've done it. We're doing it. We're doing this.
对，我们正在做，对，正在做，坚定不移的在做。
So I just want to say up front that sometimes I mention the reserve corps of destiny, which is the special group of people on a planet that are set aside they're trained by celestial beings and set aside to help out in emergencies.
那个有提到以前我们提到这个天命储备军团，因为就是神界存有挑选的，就是在行星的紧急时刻来调用的这个军团。
So I was going to take a little break and read about them so that we all knew what I was talking about when I mentioned them, but it turns out that we're going to be reading about them very soon in this section. So just to let you know.
我有以前说过我们要读那一部分，然后后来发现这个我们就要读的本来规划的章节里边可能马上也会读到，那就是先跟大家打声招呼。
And that's a very, very intriguing thing to know about.
是非常有趣的一些章节，非常的对。
It's always interesting. It's always of particular interest to find out when and how the celestial beings are working with human beings on Urantia.
总是
directly.
对，都是了解到灵界存有怎么样挑选那个这个跟这个特别的个体啊，人类个体合作，这个是非常有趣的。
Okay, so does anyone have any questions before we start?
他问大家有什么问题呀？在正式开始这个新的进度之前，大家有什么问题呢？随便什么问题都可以问他。
Okay, we're going, I think we're starting with, okay, we're in, as you said, as you mentioned in Chinese, but I didn't mention in English yet. We're in paper 109. We're reading about the thought adjusters. And after that, we're going to read, just continue reading right up until we get to the Jesus Christ papers, which is section 4 of the book. So these are, to me, the most interesting sections in the whole book. So we're tackling them first. So we're in paper 109, which is, there's a series of papers on the thought adjusters, and we're working our way through them. And we're in section 5, I believe. Ricky, do you agree? Material handicaps to adjust your indwelling? Okay. Section 5.
Yes. 他就说我们现在继续读这个像调整者的那个有关的篇章，然后呢，现在进行到109篇的第5部分，调整者内驻的物质障碍。
And yeah. I just saw paper 109. As I just said, paper 109's relation of adjusters to universe creatures. Okay, and now we're in material handicaps to adjuster indwelling. Material handicaps to adjuster indwelling. Okay, let's see what they are. Let's see what the material handicaps are. You can say that. You can.
对，我就是在这一章的看看那个像调整内驻到我们里边遇到哪些的障碍。现在我可以请一位伙伴来读这个翻译的部分嘛，就是那个海蒂是英文，然后找一个伙伴帮我们读这个中文的翻译的部分，然后呢，他的解释的部分由我来翻。
Okay, I'm gonna read.
Hold on, Heidi. I'm soliciting someone to read the Chinese translation session.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So, 哪一个伙伴方便给我们读一下呢？星辰每日见 and 风雨。
Is QQQ here?
Eva. QQ? No, QQ not in yet. She's in earlier, but she's not in here now.
那我来读吧，我来尝试一下吧。
Okay. Morningstar is volunteer.
Nice to see Morningstar again.
Nice to see you.
Okay, I'm going to read the first 3 paragraphs, and then I'm going to grab my coffee, which is, I already made it, so it's just in the other room, and then I'll come back and talk about them. So here we go. Material handicaps to adjuster indwelling. Supreme and self-acting adjusters are often able to contribute factors of spiritual import to the human mind when it flows freely in the liberated but controlled channels of creative imagination. That's a strange sentence. At such times, and sometimes during sleep, the adjuster is able to arrest the mental currents, to stay the flow, and then to divert the idea procession. And all this is done in order to effect deep spiritual transformations in the higher recesses of the superconsciousness. This is so interesting. This is telling us how the thought adjuster actually talks to us. Thus are the forces and energies of mind more fully adjusted to the key of the contactual tones of the spiritual level of the present and the future. Okay. It is sometimes possible to have the mind illuminated, to hear the divine voice that continually speaks within you, so that you may become partially conscious of the wisdom, truth, goodness, and beauty of the potential personality constantly indwelling you. But your unsteady and rapidly shifting mental attitudes often result in thwarting the plans and interrupting the work of the adjusters. Their work is not only interfered with by the innate natures of the mortal races, but this ministry is also greatly retarded by your own preconceived opinions, settled ideas, and long-standing prejudices. Because of these handicaps, many times only their unfinished creations emerge into consciousness, and confusion of concept is inevitable. Therefore, in scrutinizing mental situations, safety lies only in the prompt recognition of each and every thought and experience for just what it actually and fundamentally is, disregarding entirely what it might have been. Okay, Ricky, I just want you to, before Morningstar reads, just say, I'm just gonna come back in as soon as you're done reading and really go over this, because this is really tricky stuff. And I also want to remind you, when we're reading stuff like this, whether it's Morningstar or Ricky or whoever, you don't have to read as slow as I'm a very slow reader, but don't rush it, because it's hard to grasp this stuff. So I would definitely tend to read as slow as you can, okay? All right.
OK，
就是他一会儿回来，然后这3段呢，星辰把他读的时候呢，就是当然他读的时候就是慢嘛，比较慢一些，就是大家读的时候也要尽量就是沉浸在里边，因为这些的内容是比较的不是那么容易消化的，然后他回来以后会给我们仔细的阐述。那星辰你来。
来了5. 调整者内住的物质障碍。当人类心智在创造性、想象力、开放但受控的通道中自由流动时，至高和自我形式的调整者往往能为之贡献具有灵性意义的因素。在这种时候，有时在睡眠中，调整者能够截获心理电流，顺应流动，然后转移思想进程。所有这一切都是为了在超意识的更高深处实现深刻的灵性转变。这样，心智的力和能量就更充分地调整到现在及未来灵性层次的接触性音调之间。有时候可能让心智得到点化，可能听到在你之内不断说话的神之声音，这样你就可以部分意识到一直内住于你的潜在人格的智慧、真、善、美。但你不稳定和迅速变化的心态，常常导致计划受挫，并干扰了调整者的工作。 他们的工作不仅受到凡人种族固有天性的干扰，而且这个侍奉也被你们自己先入为主的观念、固定的思想和长期存在的偏见严重阻碍。由于这些障碍，很多时候只有他们未完成的创作出现在意识中，而概念。琪姐，这个要往上去一点，下面看不见了。好的，而概念的混乱是不可避免的，因此在审视心理状况时，只有及时认识到每一个思想和经验的实际和根本情况，完全忽略它可能是什么，才是安全的。结束了。
Heidi.
Okay, I'm here. Okay, so let's take it sentence by sentence. The supreme supreme and self-acting adjusters. Okay, so I think I think we can assume that none of us have virgin adjusters. We probably all have advanced, which are probably supreme. I doubt too many of us have self-acting adjusters, but you never know. So let's assume that they're telling us about these two groups because we probably have supreme adjusters.
他说我们很少有人有这初始思想者进驻，就是现在我们在做的哈，可能都是有的高级的和至高的调整者进驻在我们里边，我可能很少有这个自我形式的调整者吧，但也许有，他不确定，是这样的。
Okay, supreme and self-acting adjusters are often able to contribute. I'm reading and then I'm going to, talk about each sentence. Supreme and self-acting adjusters are often able to contribute factors of spiritual import to the human mind when it flows. Here, this is tricky. Let's figure out what this means. When it flows freely in the liberated but controlled channels of creative imagination. Okay, what I think that means, Ricky, and you can tell me if you agree, is or anyone else, anyone else can also weigh in, is that are often able to contribute factors of spiritual import when it flows freely in the liberated but controlled channels. I think what they mean is that the adjuster is it's easier for the adjuster to give us spiritual messages when we're in a creative frame of mind. That's what I think it's saying.
对，他就说那个思想调整者呢，在我们就是说这个头脑啊比较的有创造性的这个架构当中，才能比较更容易的传递给我们信息。
They say in the liberated but controlled channels of creative imagination. So I think what they're saying is, I'm not sure what they mean by liberated but controlled channels. Let's think about what that could mean. I think liberated, I think they mean when you're letting your mind be liberated from, like thinking about a task or analytical thinking or left brain thinking, like maybe doing math or accounting or you're focusing on cooking or you know what I'm saying. So that could be liberated. A creative imagination. It could be I'm surprised it doesn't say liberated from controlled channels, but it says liberated but controlled channels. Okay, so why would it say controlled channels? Maybe it just means, you know, you're not on drugs, or you're not like completely out there. You're actually doing something creative. So there's a certain amount of control to your thinking. Do you think maybe that's what it means?
Yeah. Yes, certainly, you know, so it's a liberated. It's just like, you know, alcoholic, you know, they are free to open to all, but they are not controlled. It is like a river, you know, it's in order to allow the water, you know, flow toward a direction, you have to have the bank, right? So
that would be the controlled part.
Yeah. Yes, liberated. You that means you allow this channel to be open.
Yes, so there.
Yeah.
So,
right.
like when it says creative imagination, so when do we use creative imagination? A lot of time, I mean, I use it all the time because I do art every day. But you know, for people that aren't artists, you know, it's just, I think, letting your thoughts wander in a creative direction, imagining things, and
Yeah,
letting, and sort of going with the flow, letting your thoughts sort of,
yeah. So it's a creative, but still there is a, you know, continuous continuation. It's not, you know, sporadic.
It's not like totally haphazard, like crazy thinking. Maybe that's what they're saying. It's not like drunken, you know, drugged, you know,
Yeah, no, or disoriented and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's controlled in a way that you know what you're doing, you know what you're thinking, you're just thinking creative thoughts. Let's just assume that's what it means, because that's pretty tricky.
对，第一段是说就是那个什么时候最能发挥作用呢？就是创造性想象力呢，开放但又受控的通道中自由流动。那个就是一方面就是要开放啊，你要就是开放的头脑，另外一方面也要有一定的控制，不是就是说你。开放呢，他就说到，就不是说你做一些的用头脑做的分析啊、数学啊、会计啊那些的算计的那个东西，所以你就相当于开放给更高的灵性的层次，然后但是呢又是 control 的，又不像是就是你喝醉酒了，或者是用了那种的上瘾的药物了，就完全的不清醒，完全的没有办法控制这个自己的信息的来源。是，所以这两种都要具备，这个情况下呢，像调整者才能够贡献最具有灵性意义的那个信息和因素。Okay.
Yeah, if anyone else has any ideas about that, you know, always feel free to weigh in.
其他的伙伴有任何的就是 comment 评论啊，或者是灵感呐，都是随时可以打断参与讨论这样子的。
我这里有个问题，就是琪姐，就是它里面说的是什么？什么声音啊？他说睡觉的时候就是什么能截获心理电流，然后顺应流动转移思想进程。这个也不知道怎么理解。
它是在下面。
对啊，就是内在的声音的话，如果有很多个声音的话，怎么辨别哪个声音才是比较有力的声音？怎么说呢？
Yeah，
就是对啊。
Heidi。
Yeah.
Morningstar's question is regarding the next sentence. So can you, we continue read the next sentence and then, we can continue on.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. The next sentence is at such times when you're having this creative imagination, but also in a controlled channel, and sometimes during sleep, the adjuster is able to arrest. Now, pay attention. It says, and sometimes during sleep, because I don't want people to think whenever you sleep, the adjuster is doing this, just sometimes during sleep. The adjuster is able to arrest the mental currents, to stay the flow, and then to divert the idea procession, okay? And all this is done in order to effect deep spiritual transformations in the higher recesses of the superconsciousness. Okay, and what's the question?
Her question is that how would you identify which mental current you should follow? But I assume that in a sleep state, it's not you consciously to make a choice. It is all controlled by the thought adjuster. That process is automatic. It does not, your conscious mind participating much. Is that true?
Yeah, yes, but well, it says at such times and sometimes during sleep. So you're more often you are conscious. You're in this, you're using your creative imagination. In other words, you're receptive. When you're using your creative imagination, you're receptive. You're not like, you don't have a wall up. You're open to ideas, right? That's what creativity is all about. It's letting ideas flow through you. That is what creativity is. Okay, I'll let you translate one.
对，我的是说这句话主要是讲的在睡眠状态。那么在睡眠状态，我们的自主意识被挪到一边去了，所以大部分就是像乔人有更大的自由度去来在我们的意识层面更深的层面去工作。那么他还得根据就是结合第一句话，就是说实际上就是这种的创造性这个开放的通道，那么大部分时间还是你清醒状态下，你要保持这个接受的接纳的状态，让这个意象来顺利的流过。
And sleep sleep is the other time when you're not controlling your thoughts or blocking anything off. You're completely open. You're just letting your thoughts flow completely freely, right? I mean, you're asleep, so they're doing your thoughts are doing what they want to do.
当然在这个睡眠状态，那么只是更多的移开了这种的主观的信念的那个影响，对你的像调整者会更容易的在你的历史层次进行工作。
I'm surprised it doesn't say during prayer or meditation, but maybe they'll mention that coming up.
他这个没有提到那个在祷告啊和这个冥想状态下，他说也许以后会提到。对，因为那个在你祷告和这个冥想的状态下，大概你也是就是说是你的主观意识啊清醒意识比较挪开松动的时候，更容易有这个接受的能力。
But a lot of maybe they don't say that because the way a lot of people pray is they've got their dialogue and they're just talking to God. They're more concerned about what they're saying. They're not. See, when I do that too, but I pray too, but I also what I call commune. When I commune, I spend as much time listening as talking. But prayer is usually more like one way. So maybe that's why they don't mention it. Also, this book was written, a long time ago, and not as many people, well, in the West anyway, maybe in China, but in America, not as many people meditated back then as they do now.
他继续阐述说，那也有可能。大部分人的祷告呢，是自己在跟自己对话，然后就是一方面在说话，而很少去聆听和倾听他认为祷告，或者说他自己的实践，就是更是与神的一种同在，更 在于这个倾听那一方面所以呢，可能这个因为西方人大概也比较的不那么去实践冥想，可能所以这2个方面就没有被提到在这里。
Hello, Heidi.
Yeah.
I have a question. Here the mental currents. Is it means that it's the mental current of super consciousness? Because it's during sleep, it's not controlled.
It says because I didn't finish answering Morningstar's question either, so I'll answer both at once. Ricky, you can translate that.
他说他还没有完全答完这个晨星的星辰的那个问题。
Okay.
So
你是
it's
Are you
so
Eva?
it's oh sorry.
Oh, okay.
So so it says so you made the same mistake Ricky just made. So it says that it's talking about often when the mind flows freely in the liberated but controlled channels of creative imagination. So let's just say mainly your adjuster is talking to you when you're letting your mind flow freely with using your creative imagination, and then also sometimes during sleep. Okay, so that's one thing, and I'll keep going.
对，他就说那个什么时候跟你讲话，你就是在这个他的第一句嘛，就是有允许这个创造想象力开放，并那个自由流动并且这个就通道自由流动这个时候，那么睡眠只是其中的一个状态，那你当然你就是清醒状态，如果在这种允许的状态也是可以这个有这样的效果。
So think of it this way. If you're driving or you're a doctor and you're operating on someone, or you're scolding your child or training your dog, or obviously your adjuster's not going to be giving you spiritual messages at that time.
那你比如说你就是在开车呀，或者是你训你的狗这些的时候，那当然实际上他们不会跟你说话。
Your adjuster's always there, always monitoring your thoughts, always communicating with you in one way or another, even if it's just giving you a higher frequency that you can go to if you need to.
对，像调整当然作为监督的，他一直就是说试图给你高一点的频率的意识状态。
He never goes to sleep. He never shuts his door. He never takes a vacation.
他那个像调整者永远都不睡觉，或者关上门或者去度假去。
So this is just telling us that this is great. This is wonderful. This is letting us know when it's easiest for the thought adjuster to send us spiritual messages. Okay, so that we can be aware of it. We can know that when we're having creative thoughts, when we're daydreaming, when we're maybe listening to music, when we're maybe meditating, when we're thinking, making something, or just sewing or gardening or anything where our mind is just flowing freely, that's the easiest time, because there's space. They can interject things. It's not like we're not too jammed up to let him in.
Yeah, this is very important.
Yeah.
他只是强调什么，他那个灵性的信息怎么样能更容易的到达我们的意识层面呢？就是 比如说我们在就是说在那儿发呆呀，听音乐啦，做冥想啦，或者是用手工做手工的事情啊，就是在做那个缝补东西啊，在这个园子里干活啦。这个时候就是那个思想哈，你头脑就是可以自由的流动啊，这样的话就有空间使这个灵性的信息这样渗透进来。对，但是如果我们这个头脑很拥挤、很忙，那么这个属灵的信息就不容易透过来。That's true.
Yeah. Wait a second. Let me, okay, he wants to go. Okay, I'm back. Oh, now the dog wants to go out. All right, so this is one reason why reading books is actually better for you than watching videos and watching TV, because when you read, you pause and you think. And when you're watching TV and video, it's just non-going. You don't really take those pauses. You can't, there's no other thoughts can get in that very easily.
他就说这就是为什么哈，读书其实比看那些的视频、那个看电视要好，因为读书的时候你会停下来思考，但是呢，像看那些的音像的制品，他拽着你走，你的思想根本没有停歇，就是说停下来的时候，你就是会被动的被拽着走。
And it doesn't have to just be creative thoughts. It could be going outside and just sitting back in a chair at night and looking at the stars, or going to the park and looking at the river, or going outside and drinking your coffee and listening to the birds in the morning. It could be anything like that. I'm sure would also work, would also be a good time. Your mind would also be receptive. I'm just guessing, but that's what I have a feeling.
创造性灵感呢，就是在什么时候出现呢？你比如说，你就是去观星啊，去公园去没有任何目的的去散步啦，在河边去那个对闲逛啊，或者到外边喝咖啡看看鸟啊，就这个时候就最放松的，最没有什么东西要做要实现的，这个时候这个创造性的想法才会出现，灵感才会出现的。
So at times like that, you're naturally letting your imagination run free.
那个时候你就是自然的会让你的想象力来遨游。
So I'm still answering the questions.
他还在回答这个星辰的问题。
So when okay, so and all this is done in order to effect deep spiritual transformations in the higher recesses of the super consciousness. Okay, so what they're saying here is that when this is done, you're not consciously aware of it. It's the same. He's giving you spiritual messages, but they're being received by your superconscious. We have a subconscious, a consciousness, and we have three consciousnesses: a subconscious, which we all know about, from psychology, a regular conscious, and which is our just regular mental everyday consciousness, and a super conscious, which is our spiritual higher consciousness. And I would say that's probably our soul consciousness, I think.
就是说人的这个几个意识的层次哈，也潜意识呢，就是从心理学上我们都知道，就表层意识啊，就是我们每天用于来应对日常生活的。那么还有超意识呢，往往又叫做灵魂意识啊，这是就是 3个层次的不同。
So this is going into our super consciousness. And in other words, you don't have to worry about it. You're not going to hear it. You're not going to know it. But in the next paragraph, we'll deal with the times when you do know it. Okay.
他就说那个意识，那个这种深层次的、深刻的灵性转变，在超意识的，那个层次发生呢，你意识觉醒的层面是，不太了解的。那么什么时候能意识层面也能了解？大概下面又会提到。
So what happens to this, to these spiritual messages that go into the super consciousness? Well, it says, thus are the forces and energies of mind more fully adjusted to the key of the contactual tones of spiritual level of the present and the future. So contactual tones that's contact. So that I think that means, I think what, this is another crazy sentence, but I think what it's saying is, thus the forces and energies of mind are more fully adjusted to the key of contactual tones. So what it's doing is it's priming your the forces and energies of your mind for better contact, for the frequency. It says the key of the contactual tones, that would be like a frequency. So your mind, there's a certain frequency that your mind can go to. You can adjust the frequency of your thoughts to be more receptive to the contact from your thought adjuster. And these super conscious messages are priming your mind, helping to make it more easily adaptable to that frequency where it can have contact. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
那他就是说到最后一句，这第一段的最后一句哈，心智的力和能量就更充分的调整到现在及未来灵性层次的接触性音调之间。他就说就是更高的层次的能量啊，I understand it, but it's hard to express.
Yeah, it's tricky. So let me say it another way. So it's saying fully adjusted to the key of the contactual tones of the spiritual level of the present and future. So we'll talk about the future in a minute.
你的那个主观层，它就使这个相当于激发这个你的表面意识的那个键，那个让它就是更敏感，就是说更对高层次的信息更敏感，它是有一个这样的激发的作用，就是相当于比如说在你这种很放松的状态、睡眠的状态，相当于它就做这种催化剂的这种作用，然后呢是你醒来的时候，你可能对那些信息就会更有接收力。以前可能你很麻木，不会这个东西，人家说什么灵性的信息可能没什么感觉，但是通过它这样的激发作用，那么你就会更有感觉，更容易调频到它那个意识的频率，你更能听懂了。这是我的理解。Yeah, I think I explained it in my language.
I'm sure you did very well. Now I've got a great analogy. Think of your mind as a radio as a radio, and
你的头脑想象成你的就是收音机啊，频段。Yep.
And you tune into different stations, and there's one station that's a spiritual station, and when you tune into that station, it's easier for your thought adjuster to contact you, and it's easier for you to hear the message. So that's but you have to adjust your mind. You have to change the station. You have to turn the knob. so that's what they mean by adjusting to more fully adjust to the key of the contactual tones of the spiritual level of the present and the future. So what they're saying is that when they send these messages to your super consciousness, it's gradually making it easier for you to tune into that frequency.
他就说你的那个心智呢，就是他比喻成那个一个收音机呢，你要调到那个属灵的台，然后呢，就是你能够更清楚的就是听到这个灵性的信息啊，像调整者在那儿跟你讲话，你听得更清楚，那么就是要这个那个播那个频段那个调节器啊，对，调频器你就是要把它调到这样的频段，然后才能听到这个超意识的层面的信息。
Now, notice that they say for the tones of spiritual level of the present and the future, because the thought adjuster's always thinking about the Marancha world. It's always thinking about the next life. What it's really trying to get you ready to do is to merge, become one with the thought adjuster. So the thought adjuster is not as concerned with this life as he is with preparing you for the next one. So a lot of the work that he does is not for now, but it's for later.
那么最后一句也进一步说到这个他这个把这个心智的力和能量充分的调整到现在及未来灵性层次的接触性音调之间，那么就是说你的思想调整者更关心的是你的未来，你这个灵智界这个的发展，那么就是你跟思想调整者之后就是融合和之后的灵性发展，这个是他的工作重点，他不太那么关心你现在即刻的这个什么，就是这个物质界的一些的那个
Think of it like when you have a child, about half of the things that you do with the child are for immediate gratification. He plays with toys, rides a bike, sees his friends, he plays with his dog, goes shopping. All these things are for now, but half the things you're doing with your child are for his future. He's taking piano lessons. You're trying to make him learn Latin in school or another language. You're teaching him about responsibility and morals and all these kinds of things. You're constantly trying to prepare your child for the future, because what matters to you even more than the present, you want your child to be happy, but what you really want is him to be successful when he grows up, to have all the tools he needs to survive, to succeed. That's what your thought adjuster is doing to us. He sees us as little children. He wants us to be prepared to go to the Marancha world. That's his goal, because he wants to merge with us. That's what he wants more than anything.
然后就对比，就像一个孩子，我们当然要协助他，就是目前过得很开心呐，给他买东西啊，帮他交友啦。但是另外你就让他们学钢琴呐，学另外的语言呐，然后让他学习责任，有责任心呐，有道德感呐，那么就相当于为他们日后能够成人承担起这个成人的责任，然后做一些的准备，然后给他们提供这些的必要的工具。那你思想调整者也是把我们看作孩子一样，就是他要准备跟我们融合，然后让我们就是说在往灵性的方向更好的发展。
And the child, like my mother wanted me to take Latin in school. And I was like, Latin? Why would I want to? No one even speaks Latin. You know, why I don't want to study Latin. And she said, it will help you with languages later. It's the best language to learn because it's so helpful with all languages later on. I didn't listen to her. Then now I'm a writer, and boy, do I wish I knew Latin.
那他上学的时候，他妈妈让他学拉丁语，妈妈认为这样就会你学其他的语言就会更容易了。但是当时我就想，拉丁语根本没有人讲拉丁语，为什么让我学习？他就是很反抗。但是因为他现在是职业写手，他才意识到，哇，他这当初要是学了拉丁语，那是非常的有帮助的。
Similar. Can't say this word for some reason. Similarly, the thought adjuster is doing things, giving us some messages and preparing us for the future in ways that we can't even understand right now.
还是同样的，像调整者有时候给我们的一些信息，我们现在有可能都不了解他是为什么要只给这些。
But that's only part of the time. The other part of the time, he's helping us with with our life right now and right here.
当然这是一部分的时间，另外一部分时间他也是在帮助我们在当下的生活。
Now, I just want to take a moment and say that the radio analogy can be a very helpful analogy because our minds really are like a radio. We really can change the channels.
对，他就是在肯定这个收音机的比喻是一个很好的比喻。那么我们的头脑的确就像这个就不同的频道。
And people are like a slave to their thoughts. They don't realize that they're in control of their thoughts. If you don't like your thought, you really can, anytime you want, change the channel.
因为他就是我们往往成为我们自己的想法的奴隶，但是实际上我们是可以改变。我们如果不喜欢那些的想法，我们是可以就是改换频道的。
I used to spend a lot of time with someone who was constantly worrying, constantly being negative, constantly complaining.
那有一些人呢，就是他们持续的抱怨啊，持续的负面，持续的那个忧虑啊。
But she was a very spiritual person and she loved the Urantia book.
对，但是他就这个朋友，他是非常的灵性，然后呢又非常的热爱月染下之书。
And when she would get filled with this anxiety or negativity or just these chaotic thinking that was not making her happy, I would just tell her, change the channel. Time to change the channel.
当他充满了焦虑啊，很负面呢，以及就是乱七八糟的想法，然后我就提醒他改换频道。
And sometimes I have negative thoughts, like they just come into my mind and I feel like they're not my thoughts. They're just very negative, but they don't feel like, sometimes I have negative thoughts and they feel like they're definitely coming from me, my own doubt, my own insecurity, my own fears, all that. Yes. But other times I have thoughts that seem like alien. They seem like they're definitely not God. I don't really believe, the devil's talking to me. I know a lot of Christians do, but they're just little nasty thoughts. And I just change the channel. I just don't give them any mind at all. I'm just like, you're not interesting. I'm not, I never, ever, ever worry about them. I just change the channel.
That's great.
Yeah, and then they gradually go away because you're not feeding them. You're not giving them any.
Yeah.
They just go away. And then then they're less and less over time.
Right. That's great. Practice. 那么他说有的时候呢，我会升起一些负面的想法，但是呢，我就会马上意识到那个不是 我的啊，如果是我的想法呀，比如有一些的疑问呐、不安全感呐，那我会认识到它是我的。但是有一些的那种的负面的想法，真的我感到非常的陌生。然后呢，知道它肯定不是来自神的，但是我也不相信说它是来自魔鬼的。当然有一些的，那个基督徒他会那样相信，但是呢，那些的很负面的、很那个见不得人的想法呢，我就会就是相当于我就说哈，你根本一点都没有去，走开吧。那个我就是不再对他就是继续喂养他，然后呢，他就很快就消失了。Yes.
And you just tune into a channel that has positive thoughts, and you just tune into a channel maybe that's feeling grateful, or maybe that sees the humor in things, or that's just appreciating every little thing around you, or you don't have to walk around being spiritual all the time. You can just say, this is the perfect day. The weather is absolutely wonderful. Thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for this beautiful park. Thank you that I live in this nice neighborhood. Whatever it is, those are very high frequency thoughts. They're just as high as any spiritual thought you'll ever have.
对，他呢就是说这个调到不同的频道，然后学习感恩啊，幽默呀，就是对生活当中所见的一些小事感恩，比如说，哎呀，今天真是天儿太好了啊，或者这个公园太美了啊，或者说你看我非常感恩我生活在这样的小区里。就是这样一些的想法，就提振你的频率的。
And I mean, they're not as spiritual as a spiritual thought, but they're a high frequency. They're the same, they're the same high frequency. And that's what matters, is to stay on high frequencies all the time, because the highest frequency you can be on is pure love.
Yeah, true.
So you want to get as close as you can to that.
那么他就说那个这些的想法不见得有多么属灵，但是他呢把你保持在比较高的频率，这个是非常重要的，因为最高的频率是跟纯的爱是相近的，所以要尽量的靠近这个高的频率。
Now, I'm not sure if I answered the questions completely, but before we address that, let's read the next paragraph, because that might also help illuminate those questions.
那我不能确定我是否回答了那个问题，非常的好，但是我们继续读，有可能会对这个有更深一步的了解。
Okay, it is sometimes possible to, and that's why I used the word illuminated, just so it is sometimes possible to have the mind illuminated, to hear the divine voice that continually speaks within you. Now before I even go any further, see how it just said to hear the divine voice that continually speaks within you? Now that the Urantia book says that a lot, but in the paragraph we just read, it's telling us that the thought adjuster gives us messages when we're in a creative imagination and during sleep sometimes, but that doesn't mean that's when they're giving us special spiritual thought, spiritual messages. That's different. It's also continually speaking to us, because that's what it says right here. And it says that in many places in the book, that is continually communicating with us.
对，就是不是说就是在你有那个创造新的想象力当中，神才跟你说话，而是神在不断的在你里面对你说话。
Hold on one second. See in the previous paragraph, it says, supreme and self-acting adjusters are often able to contribute factors of spiritual import to the human mind. Okay, so that's different because even a virgin adjuster is continually communicating with us. So it's of course everything the thought adjuster says has some kind of spiritual import, but you see what I'm saying? They're talking about especially important spiritual messages. That's what they do, and they can only do that when we're in the creative thinking or sleep, but they still are continually communicating with us all the time.
对，他再次强调，就当然不是说光至高和自我形式的调整者那个贡献这个具有灵性意义的信息，那么实际上初始调整者也是这样。然后他再强调，他是实际上那个像调整者，他的一直在对我们说话的。
I don't want you to think that the thought adjuster is just sitting there, nodding off, resting, and then every once in a while he has an opportunity to give us a message. He's working on our behalf 24/7, nonstop, all the time.
那我不能让你认为，就是说有的时候他被关在里边，好像大部分时间在休息，只有少部分时间在说话，而是他24小时7天，他一直都在工作的。
So it says here, it is sometimes possible, okay, sometimes, to have the mind illuminated, to hear the divine voice that continually speaks within you, so that you may become partially conscious of the wisdom, truth, goodness, and beauty of the potential personality constantly indwelling you. So the first paragraph was about giving us special spiritually important messages into our superconscious that will help us become more receptive to hearing the voice, to having this contact. Now, but they're saying sometimes we can hear it, which means it's not necessarily in our superconscious. Well, whether it's in our superconscious or our conscious, sometimes we can. Oh, sorry, I didn't know what that noise was. Sometimes we can hear the voice, and you may become, so that you become partially conscious of the wisdom, truth, goodness, and beauty of the potential personality. So sometimes you can hear it very clearly, because we all know there's a million stories of people who heard God say this or that, and it saved their life, or made them do, So, okay, I have to let you translate some of this.
那个对，第一段是说，就是当我们开放这个创造性想象力的时候，那么这个管道通畅那些的就是那个像调整者，他就会在我们的超意识层面去做更深刻的转变。那么第二段呢，相当于他不断的说话，然后呢，就是我们的心智可以，那即使是他就不断的说话，那么我们的心智其实还是可以部分的意识到，就是说部分的可以截留到他的这个信息。那么相当于那个像常常有机会给我们展示他的这个智慧、真善和美，那相当于就是在意识层面让我们能够就是渗透过来这样的信息。
So when it says, okay, it is sometimes possible to have the mind illuminated, to hear the divine voice that continually speaks within you, so that you may become partially conscious of the wisdom, truth, goodness, and beauty of the potential personality constantly indwelling you. So let's think about that. Sometimes you hear it clearly, like you get a message, you hear a voice, you know it's not yours, but other times you may become partially conscious. So what could, and wisdom, truth, goodness. This could be when you get the chills down your spine, when you see something and you suddenly recognize the beauty of it, the truth of it, the goodness of it. When it, you know, when you hear a certain quote or someone says something and it goes right to your soul. That's your thought adjuster is probably resonating with that right there, and you're in touch with it.
Yeah. Yes. 他就说那个有的时候你能很清晰的听到那种内里的声音，那么有的时候呢，你可能只得到一种感觉，好像哎呀是后背那个一下子就是发凉，打了一个冷战，或者是突然就是意识到什么，听到一个音乐或者听到一段的那个名言之类的，一下子那个说的话就深入到你的灵魂。那么那个就相当于你的思想调整者就是相当于在就是他就是接触到了你的灵魂，跟你有一个直接的沟通，渗透过来了。
Or you could say, okay, I don't want to have negative thoughts. I want to play the what if game. I want to look at some reason that something good is going to result from something that feels so bad or seems so wrong. When you open your mind up like that, most likely that's when you can hear the thought adjuster will give you those what if ideas, right? Because you're basically saying, give me something positive, help me think on a higher level. When you do that, of course, you're going to hear it more clearly. It's going to, those kind of, many of the ideas and thoughts are probably going to be emanating from your thought adjuster, and you won't really know it, but you'll feel a kind of wave of like truth, goodness, beauty.
对，那就是有的时候你就是在非常的感觉很差的时候，什么东西都不对的时候，你就是做那种的如果怎样，如果怎样，就是说是那个游戏，那么这像调整者就会给你一些的这方面的一些的想法，使你就是升起一些的更正面的一种信念这更新的角度去看问题，让你从另外的更高的意识层面去看问题。那么这样的想法有可能就是从思想调整者来发射出来的，让你自己感觉到。
So I think so that now the next paragraph is going to tell us what we do that prevents us from hearing clearly. So we'll read that and then we'll see if we've answered everyone's question. So let's read that.
星辰你还能读吗？如果是中文翻译的话，还能读吗？
好啊，可以啊。
Okay. Morningstar is going to read the Chinese translation for you.
Okay, but I'm still on the one we already read. I'm still going through the last paragraph that we already read. That I read and then you and she read, right? I'm just gonna go over that. But then we'll go back to the next section. Okay. So, but you're unsteady, and this is the part that tells us how we make it difficult to hear the thought adjuster. You can translate that.
这在下面的一段，就是我们怎么样让思想调整者的工作变得很困难，干扰了，相当于
Remember the name of this section is material handicaps to adjuster indwelling. So these are the handicaps.
记得吗？这一部分的题目叫物质障碍，那么这一部分他就提到这个什么样的物质障碍。
I'm just looking at okay. but your unsteady and rapidly shifting mental attitudes, unsteady, rapidly shifting mental attitudes often result in thwarting the plans and interrupting the work of the adjusters. Their work is not only interfered with by the innate natures of the mortal races, but this ministry is also greatly retarded by your own preconceived opinions, settled ideas, and long-standing prejudices. I know, I'm just thinking. So this is really interesting because our unsteady and rapidly shifting mental attitudes result in the thwarting the plans and interrupting the work. So the adjuster, this is
So
something
we haven't read the Chinese translation part.
you didn't read that?
No,
I read that. I read that.
星辰那个这一段读了吗？第4部分读了哈。OK，
这读了好像
OK，
读了3段刚才。
Morningstar already read it. OK.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to read it again, you can.
No. I
Okay.
recall that. OK.
Okay. So this is interesting because this is talking about the adjuster's work, and they don't want us to interrupt their work.
对，就是这个地方，就是思想调整者其实不想要我们干扰。
It's hard for us to think of it like that the adjuster has a job to do and he's working at his job all the time.
对，就是他的工作持续受到干扰。
But he does have a job, he does have plans for us, and he makes those plans even before we're born.
对，我们没有出生之前，他都已经给我们规划了这个一些的计划了。
But then because of our decisions and because we often stray off the path that he has chosen for us, he's constantly adjusting his plans to do what's best for us.
那因为我们经常偏离这个轨道嘛，所以他经常还要帮我们做一些调整。
So a lot of the adjuster's work is, it's sort of like a project manager. You have a project plan, and you have a roadmap, and you have milestones, and you have everything, you have it all mapped out how the project is supposed to go. But then in reality, if you're a project manager, you spend at least half your time I call it putting out fires, because things, right, okay.
那他就说那个就像思想调整，就像那个项目管理、项目经理啊，这个他做了计划呢，画了地图啦，然后标出来这些的里程碑了，但是在现实当中，我们经常放火。
That's why being a project manager is a very difficult job.
那作为项目经理是非常困难的一件事，很有挑战。
And our thought adjuster is we're the project, and he's the project manager. And just like with any project manager on earth, things never go according to plan. Even if you're God, things don't go according to plan.
他思想调整者是项目经理，我们就是那个项目，那么我们经常的这个项目就不像规划的那样去运作。
Because you're dealing with human beings who have free will.
因为他就是我们这个人类被赋予了自由意志。
So they know what they're in for. They know it's going to be hard, but it's very hard.
他们知道他们就是要跟什么来这个工作，他们知道这个是很困难的一个工作。
So it says their work is not only interfered with by the innate natures of the mortal races, but this ministry is also greatly retarded by our own preconceived opinions, settled ideas, and long-standing prejudices. So let's first start with the races. It says their work is interfered with by the innate natures of the mortal races. And I think what that means is that all the races have different strengths and different weaknesses. So
他第二句说到这个，他们的工作不仅受到凡人种族固有天性的干扰，这个是否也被我们自己先入为主的观念、固定的思想、长期存在的偏见严重阻碍。那么他先讲到这个种族，凡人种族的这个，它的有利的和不利的部分。
And even the mixed races, they still have strengths and weaknesses of all the races that they're a mixture of.
混合种族也有它的有利和不利的方面。
So some races might be more stubborn, some might be more resistant to change, some might be more fearful, etc.
对，有一些种族呢比较的顽固啊，不愿意改变呐，有一些种族比较胆小怯懦呀。
I'm just guessing because it never really says in the
我
book.
只是在猜想，那么书中没有说，没有写。
So the thought adjuster has to deal with these innate hindrances that are due to our mortal races.
对，他就是要那个像常人要跟我们这些的种族的固有的这些的天性的干扰来那个克服这些的。
But on top of that, no matter what race we are, their ministry is greatly retarded by our preconceived opinions, settled ideas, and long-standing prejudices.
对，然后第二句就是我们先入为主的观念啊，固定的思想啊，长期存在的偏见啊，这些也都是严重的阻碍。
And those three things they mentioned would be the things that make it the most difficult for them to get us on our right path.
那这是后边提到的这三个，可能是最大的阻碍，是我们不能走上正确的道路。
And notice that those three things are very similar to each other.
我们应该注意到这三者好像很相似哦。
See, preconceived opinions, settled ideas, and long-standing prejudices. They're very similar.
这三种先入为主的观念、固定的思想、长期存在的偏见，的确很类似。
All three represent a stubbornness of thinking.
三者都表示一种固化的思想。
An inability to open up your mind and say, maybe I'm wrong, maybe there's a better idea than mine.
那三者都是表示没有办法开放头脑，认识到，有可能我是错的哦，有可能有更好的方法呀。
An inability to say, listen, I'm young, I don't know much, I need help, please guide me. An inability to do that.
都是表示没有能力说那个意识到，我很年轻，我需要帮忙，需要指导啊。
We have all tried to reason with and to convince someone of something wise and good. Someone who has preconceived opinions, settled ideas, and long-standing prejudices, and we know it's almost impossible.
就是我们总是在推理啊，试图说服别人啊，为什么呀？为什么这样好啊？对，我们总是有被这些先入为主的观念、固定的思想、长期存在的偏见所左右。
Now, these three things that we all have to an extent.
我们这三者其实就是从某种程度上我们都存在。
And some people much more than others.
有一些人比另外一些人更顽固。
But most likely, this is me guessing now, right? Most likely, we all have them in certain areas and we're not even aware of it.
对，很有可能我们就是在某一些的领域啊，就特别的有特别的这些缺点，就特别的明显。但是，对，都是这样。
The biggest problem with preconceived opinions, settled ideas, and long-standing prejudices is that when you have them, you don't know you have them. Most of the time.
Yes. 最大的问题是，当我们有这些先入为主的观念、固定的思想、长期存在的偏见那些的领域，我们自己不自知。
You are in denial that you are even prejudiced. I mean, some people go right out and say, I'm a white supremacist. I want to kill everyone who's not white. At least they're honest about their prejudice. But most people have certain settled ideas or prejudices or preconceived ideas, and they're not even aware of them.
那大部分时间我们在自我否定当中，我们根本不认为我们自己有偏见呢。就是有一些人呢，至少他很诚实的，他说我很偏激，我想杀了所有的人。但是大部分时间我们意识不到我们自己有这些的偏见。
So I call it me and a whole lot of other people call it being in denial.
对，就是在自我否认状态。
And if you're in denial about something, that means how do you know you're in denial? You're in denial.
他就说怎么认识到自己在自我否认状态呢？对啊，我们就是在自我否认的状态。
It's very rare that someone will say to you, well, I can't talk about that because I'm in denial about it.
很少有人就是跟你说我没有办法跟你讲自我否认，因为我在自我否认状态中。
We can talk about denial another time. It's fascinating. I think about it a lot.
对，他觉得自我否认这个题目非常的有趣。他说其他的另找时间会仔细再回来谈这个事情。
It's like, I'll just say one thing. It's like quantum physics or one of these things that you can't see it, or like a black hole, right? Which are really, you can't see it, but you can find it by noticing things around it and reactions, which we can talk about some other time, but I'm just saying there are ways to find your denial, even though you can't see it.
他说那个就像量子物理一样，你看不到，但是你知道有存在。那像黑洞一样，你看不见它，但是你注意到周围发生的事情和反应，那么你知道它的存在。
Okay, it says, because of these handicaps, many times only their unfinished, because of these handicaps, these that we have, mortals, many times only the thought adjuster's unfinished creations emerge into consciousness, and confusion or of concept is inevitable. So this is really interesting. Therefore, in scrutinizing mental situations, safety lies only in the prompt recognition of each and every thought and experience for just what it actually and fundamentally is, disregarding entirely what it might have been. Okay, so what they're saying is that because we have settled ideas and preconceived opinions and settled ideas and long-standing prejudices, it's hard. It's sometimes when they're trying to give us a whole entire message, only part of it comes through. We're so closed off. Our minds are so unreceptive to truth, beauty, and goodness that because we have ideas that, no, this doesn't exist, or we already think we know about that. So we don't let it in. And then we only get a partial message. And that can be very confusing. And I'll let you translate that and then I'll finish.
Yes，他就说那个，就这一段的中间和最后嘛，那就是说，因为我们呢有这些先入为主的偏见呢，所以呢，我们往往那个就是管道非常的闭塞，那么不是那么通透，所以呢，往往只有一部分的信息传递过来。
So they're telling us how to deal. They're saying that can be very confusing when we get a part of a message from our thought adjuster. That can be totally confusing. It could make no sense to us.
对，那就是当有只有一部分的信息传过来，不是全部的时候，那么我们就会感到非常的迷惑，就是好像我们不明白这是啥意思。
And what they're saying is, so in scrutinizing these mental safety lies only in the prompt recognition of each and every thought and experience just for what it is, disregarding what it might have been. What they're saying there is, don't try to figure it out. Don't try to interpret what it actually might mean. Don't even do that. Just whatever you get, look at that one word, that one thought, and just accept it for what it is. It might not make sense to you, but don't try to say, well, this must mean that, or maybe it's trying to say that, because you'll probably be wrong. It says safety lies, because there's a danger of hearing a confused message and trying to figure it out for yourself. Don't try. Just let it be.
他最后一句呢是说，当就这种的你得到部分信息的情况下，不明白怎么情况的，就不要随意的去解读，根据你得到多少就是多少，不要过分解释。
You know, let me just give you an example, right? Maybe you're looking for a house and your thought adjuster has a house ready for you because next to that house lives someone who you're supposed to meet and you're going to, influence your community with that person, right? Okay. I'll let you translate each section.
What do you mean you look for a house and then you live?
I'm trying to give you an example of how you might mix up a message. So here's an example. You're looking to buy a house.
Yes.
And your thought adjuster has a house in mind because that house, there's a whole plan. It's right next door to someone who you're supposed to meet and do something special with.
就是比如他举个例子，比如说你在找房子嘛，你思想调整者其实头脑里已经有蓝图了，你要跟这个到时候你找了房子的邻居要一起做什么事情。
And he's trying to get the message to, so he's saying blue house on the hill. There's a blue house on the hill. But your mind is so messed up with your prejudices and preconceived opinions and settled ideas. You're not letting anything in. So all of a sudden you start thinking, blue hill. What's going on? I keep thinking of a blue hill.
对，那你这个，因为你比如说那个，对你的印象得到的就是说有可能是在一个山坡上的一个蓝色的房子，但是呢，因为你就被这些的 先入为主的观念啊、固定的思想啊、存在的偏见啊所阻挡了，那么你可能得到的信息就是蓝色的山，蓝色的小山坡。
You don't even think that it's from your thought adjuster. You just keep thinking, why do I keep thinking about a blue hill?
那你就不知道这个从你的思想调整者来的，你可能就在想，哎，为什么我总是在那儿想了一个蓝色的山呢？
Well, if it doesn't make perfect sense, don't worry about it, because just say, okay, fine, Blue Hill, and leave it be. Don't worry about it, because eventually you'll see the house and it'll be a blue house and it'll be on a hill. And then you'll go, oh, blue house on a hill. That's what I was thinking.
啊，就是你这个，不要去担心这个事情，然后呢，可能慢慢的事情发展呢，就会，有一天你看到这个山上的一个蓝色的房子，你就会意识到，哦，原来不是蓝色的山，而是蓝色的山坡上的，不是，是一个小山坡上的蓝色的房子。
They're saying, don't try to interpret these signs like as if you were reading a palm or reading tarot cards or reading a Ouija board. Don't get all hoodoo voodoo about it.
对，不像你就是读塔罗牌啊什么的，那个是就是做一些过分的解读，延伸。
Okay, so now Morningstar and the sweet girl with the Chinese name. Is it Chen?
我不知道第二个问问题的是哪个伙伴啊？刚才第二个问问题的是谁？
是那个生理层啊。
Shen Li?
Shen Li, yeah, Shen Li.
Oh, Shen Li. Okay. So now, do you still have any questions about this section? Either one of you?
No, it's okay. But I just start to read the book, so I don't understand very well what is the gesture. It's like a heart listening always, giving always the voice of the God or some.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a fragment. It's an actual. This is so exciting. If you don't know this yet, this is the most wonderful thing you'll ever hear in your life. It's an actual fragment of God that lives in each one of us, a gift from God. It is God, but it's also a fragment of God. But it's just dedicated to us. And eventually, in the next life, we will merge and we will become one being, and we'll be like half God, half man. We'll be like a new type of being that's very godly once we merge with it.
刚才沈丽就提到问一个问题，因为他刚刚读这本书，然后他说那什么是思想调整者呢？那海蒂就说那个是神的一个片段在我们里边，是给我们的礼物。那么在下一世呢，我们就是跟思想调整者融合，成为一个新的存有，那么是一半人一半神的这样的一个灵智体。
But it is very much like what we kind of intuitively feel like God in, many of us, most of us, I think, have a intuitive feeling that God is in our hearts. And this book is telling us he literally is. He's probably more in our minds, but doesn't matter because our minds are in our hearts too. And we feel it in our heart. And each of us have our own thought adjuster who volunteered to be with us before we were even born.
那我们其实都有直觉的感觉，那个神在我们里面。那么实际上这本书呢，就告诉我们是那个字面上也像字面上一样，实际上它是在我们里面，在我们心里啊，在我们的头脑里。那么就是 每个人都有他的像调整者，那么在我们出生之前，他已经自愿来服务我们了，来进驻我们里面。
And this is so important that this is why we're reading these papers first.
对，这个是预言下之书很重要的一个概念。那么，所以为什么读这本书呢？先把这些的篇章来拿出来读。
Because if nothing else, if you read nothing else in this book, you should know that there's a fragment of God inside you, communicating with you all day, every day, and there to help you whenever you need it, and guide you through the hardest times, the best times. Is your best friend, is your father, is your mother, is everything.
嗯哼，对，那么就是这本书你不什么都不读，也要读这一部分。那么是这个是在我们里面，神的片段在我们里面。那么它是每天每时每刻都是跟我们经历最好的最坏的时候，然后它是我们的复合母。
So in this book, they call it the thought adjuster. They call it the mystery monitor. And they also call the same thing. And they also call it a fragment of God, or sometimes a divine, I think sometimes they call it a divine spark.
Divine counselor?
No, those are actual beings. Those are high beings that some of the authors of this book, the Divine Counselor. No, Divine Spark, I think.
那个就像调整者又称为这个神秘的监督者、监护者哈，神的片段啊，然后神圣的火花呀，就是这些都是指的我们神里边的这个最深的片段内住在我们里边。
Your thought adjuster is a divine counselor, though, for sure. He's definitely the most divine counselor you'll ever have.
我们的思想调整肯定是我们神圣的咨询师啊，对啊，他是也可以这么说。
And then remember in the beginning of the thought adjuster papers, it said that we had the 3 phases in our life, and they call it the thought adjuster, the thought changer, and the thought, what was the third one? Remember? The first third of your life, it's like he's a thought adjuster. Then it's the thought changer.
No, thought adjuster is in the middle.
What's the first one?
No. 就是他讲到人的这个3个阶段，相当于针对思想调整对我们的转变的作用的大小。第一阶段是 thought changer，改变思想的阶段。第2阶段是调整思想的阶段。第3个阶段是什么我就忘了。3个阶段，根据人的从出生到离开的3个阶段。
Oh, I said, I'm just looking. I said before we probably have supreme adjusters, but I forgot it. We probably have advanced adjusters. So when they were talking about some of us have supreme adjusters, but we probably all have either advanced or supreme, because probably none of us here have virgin, and probably none of us have self-acting. We don't know. So when they were talking about when they can put these super important material spiritual ideas, they were saying only supreme and self-acting can usually do that.
那就是我们的现在的思想调整者可能都是属于高级类的和至高类的那2种，可能很少有人现在就是配备了这个就初始类的和自我形式类的。那么这一部分第一段说到只有至高类的，还有自我形式类的调整者有那样的能力，贡献具有 灵性意义的因素，就是对第一段当中提到了，他就提到这第一段的这两种思想调整者。
I'm looking for the part where it says the three stages. I can't find it. But we'll find. I mean, I can find it, but we just do a search on thought changers, and we'll find it in a minute. But I can't find it right now. Anyway, there's
I forward
yeah.
that to the group. Yeah, don't worry. Don't.
Yeah, we could just do a search and find it. Yeah, because we always forget about that. But okay. And Shenli, you can also you have the translation now, so you can go back and read all the papers on the thought adjuster, starting with what was it, 107?
107, yeah, possibly.
Yeah, origin and nature of thought is starting with paper 107.
Okay, I can search tomorrow after
Yes.
Yeah, okay, no problem.
Yes, starting with paper. Oh, you're welcome. Starting with paper 107, and then you'll know everything we know.
Okay, 107. Okay, fine.
Okay. I'm glad you asked though, because it helps.
Yeah.
And when you're reading this, it helps to know what a thought adjuster is.
在我们那个金山文档里边都有那省略，你要进去的话，那个
就107那张是吧？里面有。
107、108，我到时候我也发给你，进行完了。
对，我明天
我也发给你。
好。
Okay, so now I'll read the next section, and I'll just read these 2 paragraphs because that finishes section 5. And then when Morning Star is translating it, I'll just quickly run out and walk my dog. I don't walk him, I just take him out so he can do his business, and I'll be probably back by the time it's done. But if not, you can just talk amongst yourselves. Okay. The great problem of life is the adjustment of the ancestral tendencies of living to the demands of the spiritual urges initiated by the divine presence of the mystery monitor. See, that's Shenli, that's the other name. They call it mystery monitor or thought adjuster. While in the universe and super universe careers, no man can serve 2 masters. In the life you now live on Urantia, every man must perforce serve 2 masters. Wait a minute, hold on. While in the universe and super universe careers, I guess we're not in the universe career yet. No man can serve 2 masters. In the life you now live on Urantia, every man must serve 2 masters. He must become adept in the art of a continuous human temporal compromise, while he yields spiritual allegiance to but one master. And this is why so many falter and fail, grow weary, and succumb to the stress of the evolutionary struggle. Wow. Okay, while the hereditary legacy of cerebral endowment and that of electrochemical overcontrol both operate to delimit the sphere of efficient adjuster activity. Okay, while the hereditary legacy of cerebral endowment, okay, the brains we're born with through our DNA, and that of electrochemical overcontrol, that's probably the, both operate to delimit the sphere of efficient adjuster activity. No hereditary handicap in normal minds ever prevents eventual spiritual achievement. Heredity may interfere with the rate of personality conquest, but it does not prevent eventual consummation of the ascendant adventure. If you will cooperate with your adjuster, the divine gift. Okay, it's divine. They call it divine gift, divine spark, divine gift. They have a lot of names for it. The divine gift will, sooner or later, evolve the immortal Marancha soul and subsequent to fusion therewith. That's when you fuse, will present the new creature to the sovereign master son. That's Jesus of the local universe. And eventually to the father of adjusters on paradise. That's God the Father who's in the paradise in the middle of the whole universe. Okay, you can read and I'll be right back.
Yeah, relax.
Come to Breitbart.
那个星辰或者沈丽，你们俩谁来读一下中文翻译的部分？
哦，到我了是吧？那我开始了啊。生命的最大问题是调整祖先的生活倾向，使之适应由神秘告诫者的神圣灵在引发的灵性冲动的需要。虽然在宇宙和超级宇宙的生涯中，没有人可以服务两个主人，但在你现在的预染下生活中，每个人都必须为两个主人服务。他必须熟练掌握持续不断的人类式属妥协的艺术，同时他在灵性上只对一个主人效忠。这就是为什么如此多的人动摇和失败，即在进化挣扎的压力下变得疲惫并屈服。尽管大脑禀赋和电化学过度控制的遗传性遗产都在运作，以限制有效的调整者活动范围，但没有任何遗传性障碍在正常的心智中会阻止最终的灵性达成。遗传可能会干扰人格征服的速度，但它不会阻止扬升冒险的最终完成。如果你愿意与你的调整者合作，神之礼物迟早会演化出不朽的灵智性灵魂，并在与之融合后，将新的受造物呈现给地方宇宙的主权之子，最终呈现给天堂的调整者之父。
要怎么样？这两段大家都觉得就是有，
我觉得蛮拗口的。那个刚才那个黑底说的那个解释那个，就是我就想说一下我一点经历，就最近的，反正就是最近好像就是感觉就是身体方面就比较敏感那种，就是说那个反正我也跟琪琪姐说过了，就是我晚上睡觉的时候，半夜醒来的时候，就是经常就是刚睡醒的那一刻，然后就听到了那个声音飘，就从头脑那边飘过去那种，反正就是几个声音，就是有男性的声音，有女性的声音，这样飘过去。然后如果说我们内在有思想调整者的话，那为什么这个思想调整者不知道是他们弄出来的这些声音还是什么？反正就是这感觉很奇怪了。有时候我也很疑惑，我也不知道这些声音它不知道是在提醒我还是什么，就感觉上就是很迷惑的那种，我也不知道是怎么回事。然后有时候我睡觉的时候，我就感觉上 就半睡半醒的，然后内在的话，感觉身体好像有那种能量上的调整什么东西的，反正就是那种感觉好奇怪，就是感觉上整个人好像就是内在那种就是能量状态好像有点那种好像升啊低啊那种，就感觉很奇怪那种，反正就是近7月底开始就有这种情况了，一直到现在，然后就感觉很奇怪。
那个不是思想调整者，你那个是里边的其他的那个，就
但是我觉得也不是负面的那种，就是反正就声音就声音了，要过去之后，他来的时候，有时候他很清晰，说那块很清晰的，但有时候一飘就过了，就这样子，就短短几秒钟
就是我们
一飘就过。
的头脑就像那个收音机嘛，对吧？那有的时候呢，频道不定什么时候是摆到哪一个台，然后就听到那个台了。如果你这不太稳定，就是它那个 channel 不是前面那段第一句话，如果那个 channel 不是很稳的话，那么就有可能，哎，你差到这个岔口，然后一会儿又岔到那个岔口，那么你听到的声音就不一样嘛，对呀。
Don't forget to translate some of this.
Yes. Yeah, you talk about QQ. I saw QQ is in.
Oh, QQQ. Hello, QQQ.
Hello.
Yeah, when you start, kind of confused, that sometimes, during the deep night, sometimes she heard voice, either male or female, kind of talk very clearly to her. So she's a little bit confused whether they are thought against her.
Is it not when she's sleeping, when she's awake?
Yeah, she's awake. She's awake.
Okay, I have a good, do you know what a litmus test is?
No.
A litmus test is a test that you do to see if something's like real or not. A litmus test. It's like if it passes a litmus test, it's the real thing. It's like a test you could do on certain things, a litmus test on many things to see if it's, you can make up a litmus test to see if something's legitimate or not.
提到一个测验，说测验这个东西真的假的。
I made up a litmus test. So here's how, okay, first of all, and I'll let you translate. It doesn't matter if it's the thought adjuster or not. If it could be a guardian angel, it could be whoever, a visiting celestial being who's acting as your teacher. I mean, it's probably your thought adjuster, but here's how you know if it's worth listening to, if it's when you hear this voice, is it talking, how your thoughts use I, your thoughts, you think a certain way, it's got your personality in it, and it says I. When you hear a voice that says you, that's addressing you, and it's clearly someone else. Does she have that feeling?
对他的这个，他说那个是跟你交流的，有可能是跟你的思想调整者，有可能是你的护卫天使啊，或者一些的路过的神旨啊，那个是扮演你的老师的角色呀。我们判断是否值得去听的一个标志呢，就是说他是用你来说话，还是用我来说话？就是相当于跟你讲话的时候是用我还是用你？是这么说的。
他就是说那些声音就是说，就怎么说呢？说你不能这样子，然后怎么说？我也很难
哎呀，对，
就是反正很困惑，我不知道他是在提醒我还是什么，反正是
但是
不像，就是不像，
都
就跟我那个看的那些灵性资料，就是那些高频的那些灵性资料那些对不上，他也不是说那一块的东西，所以我感觉上不像是高我那种频率的声音，那种频率的。
Yeah, she doesn't feel like those beings, the talk from those beings are from higher frequency. Because the talk,
Well, that no, but I mean, that's just the first question. I have the litmus test is a few different questions. The first question was, is it someone else who's talking to her like you, not
yeah. So those beings talk with him that you should not do what and what. It is like
yeah,
that.
okay, okay, oh, okay. Now, second, are they saying, so it says definitely not her own voice. Okay, so they're saying things, if your thought adjuster only says things that are loving and that make you feel better and that give you hope and faith and comfort and strengthen your faith and make you feel good about yourself, is like a loving father. If it's any other kind of messages, that's not your thought adjuster. It always makes you feel better. It always replenishes you and makes you feel loved and makes you feel good, never judging, and it never tells you what to do. It can't, because it respects your free will. Never tells you what to do.
Yeah. Okay, that's important. 那当然，刚才是第一点嘛，然后第二点呢，他就说呢，如果是思想调整者的声音，那么它一定是充满爱的，一定是让你觉得好一点的，给你带来希望的，让你更有信心的，然后给你带来安慰的，像一个慈爱的父亲，给你能量，让你就是说，你觉得就是非常棒的，他从来就不会来判断你，然后他从来都是尊重你的自由意志的。如果不是这样，如果他是命令你的，那么就肯定不是思想调整者。
Unless it's in a life or death situation, then your thought adjuster or your guardian angel or someone might say, jump out of the car or slow down or go, in a life or death situation, then they tell you what to do. That's the only time they tell you what to do.
那么在一些生死的关头呢，就是你的思想调整者或者护卫天使可能会用命令的那种的那个信息说赶快往边上跳，或者赶快减速啊，只有在这样的他会直接的告诉你怎么做，其他的时间他都不会命令你要怎么做的。
So the number one is it's another voice that's not yours. Number two, it never interferes with your free will. Number three, it always says things that a loving father, a wise, never anything that makes you feel bad or that would hurt anyone else or that's negative in any way. Those are three. The fourth one is that if it's your thought adjuster, it invariably says something surprising that you don't expect, because it's not your own mind, it's a much higher mind. So very often a thought adjuster will tell you that something you would never expect to hear. Not always, but often.
The fourth one, you said that you always something that unexpected and invariably surprising.
No, not always, but often.
So it's not from you, but it's
no. Well, it's not from you because partly because it's talking to you. It's not saying I, like you, when you speak to when you're thinking, you use the first person. You're saying, I should go here. Maybe I should do this. Maybe when your thought just speaks to you, he says, you, Heidi, Ricky, you. He's not, it's not your own thoughts. It's the way someone else speaks to you, but it also says things that you would never say. That's what I mean. It says things that never would occur to you. You don't think that way.
OK， 那他就回顾那4点嘛。第一点就是说他对你说话是从你对你怎么样这个角度，所以你知道那不是你。第二个，他尊重你的自由意志。第三个，他总是很明智的，从来不给你负面的那个评价的。第4点就是这个想法你就很确定不是来自你的，你从来不会那么想那么说。
And it doesn't talk to you when you don't want to hear it. It's not like bombarding you or stalking you. It's communicating with you all day, every day, but you only hear it when you want to hear it. It's not going to hound you or force messages into your head, into your conscious mind.
对，他总是在你想听的时候听，而不是就是说突然就是说弄进来的，强迫你听的什么这种的信息。
So are these and I don't think it would be a woman and a man. I think it would have one voice, and I mean I think it's God the Father, so I doubt it would have a female voice, but if it did, it certainly would. I don't think it would change back and forth because it's only one being.
那没有说一定有什么性别特征的声音啊什么之类的，这个
what are the messages making you feel wiser and more loved and stronger and better and getting over your anxiety? Are they comforting and uplifting?
是这个信息呢，是让你感觉你自己会变得更清楚、更明白，带给你更多的爱啊，然后焦虑少一些啊，更有那种抚慰人心的作用吗？
反正那个声音的话，给我感觉就是好像我就是做错了，就是没走在正确的路上，就给我感觉，就有时候就是我感觉好像他说的是，然后心里面就开始焦虑了，然后立马就转换了。
That actually that voice judges her, you know, always will always make her feel like she did something wrong.
Yeah,
so
that's not
the anxiety
absolutely
escalated after heard the voice. Yeah.
Yes, that's absolutely not her thought adjuster.
他说
100% not.
他说那个肯定不是你的思想调整者，他说这个100%的肯定不是。
The least judgmental being in the whole universe is God. God does not judge us.
那最没有评判的，在全宇宙当中就是神，神从来不判断我们，评判我们。
So that voice she's hearing is, there's two things it could be. One is it can be her own conscience. That's just, you know, she's very imaginative. She's very, and it's just talking to her that way because our consciences do judge us. We judge ourselves harshly. Or it could be some other kind of not so nice being that's around. And if that's the case, she just has to surround herself with God's love and her guardian angels, and it'll go away. That no being has any power or at all against God. If you just ask God and Jesus to protect you and be with you and surround you, and nothing else can ever bother you again.
那就是这个，那就是有可能是一些并不是那么友好的那些的存有啊，在你周围，那么你要让耶稣来保护你，就是这样的话，那些的存有就不会再跟你交流了。一方面就是以一种拒绝的态度，另外一方面就是请神请耶稣来保护你， 那神在的话，那些的是不怀好意的存有就不会再来搅扰你了。
So let's say this voice says something like, you know, you're not measuring up, or you should have done this, or you're falling short in this way. You just, if it's your conscience, you just change the channel and you just don't pay it any mind. If it's some other kind of negative beings, possibly, you just surround yourself with God's love, with your angels, protect you, love you, shield you, and just say, go away. You're not welcome here. Only God is welcome here. And that's all you have to do.
哦，对了，他还提到，那个就是如果是责备的，也有可能是你自己的良心，因为我们经常的对自己很苛刻嘛，会对自己有这种的评判，所以有可能是从你的良心来的那个声音啊，也就是这个时候也要把它调整到一个频率，就是爱自己的那个频道吧。对，然后
But you should consciously say, these thoughts are not welcome in my house, in my life. No negative thoughts are welcome. I do not welcome them. I do not invite them. Say that consciously. I only invite, I only welcome loving, positive, healing, godly thoughts. Say that. Whenever that happens, say that.
对，你就是这个当这种情况发生的时候，要就是明确的宣告说，在这个房子和我的生命当中，我只允许爱的信息、正面的信息啊，你这些的是赶快滚到一边去吧，我不欢迎你到我的生活当中来，就是让神的爱来给你，就是说提供盾牌的保护。
对呀，反正就是我那个也有，就是声音来的时候，我也有祈祷过的，就是他反正就是我以为是有一小段，就是一小段时间就过去，过几天就过去，没想到会持续那么久。然后就是现在每天晚上基本上半夜醒了都会听到那个声音，然后那个声音他也不会说跟我交流那种，他就是一飘就过去了，然后我仔细听又消失了，就没有了那种。
Yeah. So this recently happened a lot in deep night. Yeah, the voice passed by, but when she wanna hear more carefully, that disappeared.
Yeah. Well, good. You don't need those negative thoughts. Let it go. Goodbye.
对，
Adios.
你不要去，星辰不要去那个，还要好奇，还想听，过去就过去，不要想去听他说什么呀，这都是其他的电磁的干扰，其他的灵体的一种干扰、灵扰。
因为我总是害怕他那个是不是说对了，我真的做错了什么东西，我是不是
你看，
真的
这还是属于你的恐惧嘛？你的恐惧，然后相当于吸引来评判。如果你真的在这种的安定和大爱当中，铆定在神的爱当中，对吧？他什么评判都不管用，都不入你的心，他早晚他也都会，就像那个东西没有营养，那个枝子就枯萎了一样的。你总是还是很想听听他自己对自己，他对你怎么评判的？你这种的就会持续的会。是你的内在的一种焦虑的一种体现，Yeah。
好的，谢谢，明白了。
知道吗？你自己要对自己肯定，不要就是说任何人、任何的那个对你指手画脚，你这都给他屏蔽，都坚决的不认，不去 take in， 对。
因为他这个声音是内在的声音嘛，就是说不是说冥想也是向内对齐的嘛，但是没想到内在有那么多个声音，就是
有可能我们每个人都是很多的。
Would you translate some of this?
Yes. Yeah. She said because she is also kind of curious on how that being comment on her, so I reminded her that to be positive, that do not be influenced by those comments or judgment, because if you are care about their judgments, you might attract them to come back again to give you comments, to give you judgment.
Well, yes, and that's also a way of welcoming them or inviting them. And but I want Morningstar, I want her to really say consciously, in case it's another being and not her, I think it might be a subconscious mind, but in case it isn't, I want her to definitely say negative thoughts, negative beings are not welcome here. I do not invite them. I do not welcome them, because they only come if you welcome them.
Yeah.
You have to say that. And then you have to say, I am shielded in God's love. I am protected by my angels and God. And nothing is more powerful than that in the whole universe. Nothing can touch me. Nothing can harm me ever if you're shielded in God's love.
Yeah. 他就说你要持续的对自己说，就是说负面的想法、负面的存有都离开我，你在这里是不受欢迎的。那我就被神的爱所包裹，所那个保护哈。我的天使也保护我，没有什么其他的东西能够那个就是那个伤到我啊，我能够接近我。不让任何的这种的接近我，就是相当于被神的爱所包裹，你是最大的保护。
好的，谢谢黑底，谢谢。
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. When I bought this house 7 years ago, I went through every room because it's an old house and there's a lot of people have lived here and some very, very, I happen to know some very unhappy people, some people with a lot of problems, people who fought, people who did drugs. I know all this. So I went through every room, every corner, and I just blessed it with God's love. And I opened all the doors and windows and cleaned the whole thing and just said, this house will be full of love, nothing but love and harmony, always. Nothing negative will ever be in this house. And I blessed it with God's love every corner. And I feel good about it.
Yeah. 他说他7年前买的这个房子，因为是一个很古旧的房子，很多人都住在这里过，那也许这个里边有非常的负面的人啊，或者吸毒的人啊，那么他到每一个角落都去相当于祝祷啊，然后呢就是打扫，然后呢说我希望这个房子是充满了爱和和谐的，那么不允许任何负面的东西在这里待，那就是他感觉到很好。
You want to keep, and there's been some people that were negative who came in my house and they had negative vibe and I just got rid of them as soon as I could.
那也有一些访客也不太好的振动频率，那么我会把他们尽早的请走。
And you want to, when you hear, it's like those little negative thoughts I get in my mind, I just change the channel. I just don't listen to them and they go away. I just start thinking positive thoughts and then you can't hear them.
对，那就有一些负面的想法进来的时候，我就赶快调频道，然后他们就不在我的实相当中了。
When negative thoughts are in your head, whoever it is, however you're hearing it, that's a good time to talk to your thought adjuster and say help me think of positive things. And that because like when I have negative thoughts about myself, I clear my mind and then suddenly I hear my thought adjuster or something like that, and it reminds me of all these good things about me and my life and things I've done and things I could be proud of and things that I would never have thought of. But that's how the thought adjuster's always looking at you with love and celebrating every accomplishment and all the good about you. He's just, you can do that. You can tune into that if you want to. You just, you'll get, if you start start trying, you'll get better and better at it.
对，他就说你可以请求你的向调整者帮助你，就是说正面思考哈，就是他会提醒你所有的你的好的方面，你做的好的事情，你值得骄傲的那些的成就，然后跟你一起庆祝，这样的经常这样实践，你就会好一些。
And when you're feeling bad about yourself for whatever reason, someone said something or you're just judging yourself, a good exercise, I do this a lot, is to go back and start thinking of how worse off you were at other times in your life, and how much you've grown, how much you've learned, how much better you are now than you were before, and that makes you feel a lot better.
对，当那负面的想法像自我否定的想法升起来的时候，你要学习或者别人说什么，然后评判你的，你要想你自己，就是说，是一个非常的有价值的存有，你就是成长了很多的过去，学习到很多的东西，那个对，就这样，就是要对抗，要经常有这种觉知，对，去对抗那种负面的一种评价，不管是自己的还是别人的。
Okay, let's just talk a little about these last two paragraphs, and then maybe we'll have time to read about the Buddhism a little. Do you think?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so for these two,
I have to share.
okay, so these two but no, these two paragraphs I'm going to talk about, these last two, okay?
Yeah.
The great problem of life is the adjustment of the ancestral tendencies of living to the demands of spiritual urges, the adjustment to the ancestral tendencies of living. When they say ancestral tendencies of living, they're talking about our heritage as being from animal origin, and and coming from primitive beings, and so we're adjusting those ancestral tendencies to the demands of the spiritual urges initiated by the thought adjuster. So these paragraphs are talking about the contrast, the two things we're always juggling, the material and our earth life, and this God fragment inside of us. And they're saying it's very difficult. It's the great problem of life, is that making that adjustment.
对，这两段哈，第一句话就相当于就是最大的问题就是调整祖先的生活倾向，那就是我们从动物来的这些的那个和物质方面的物质生活的嘛。然后呢，实质适应由神秘告诫者的神圣灵在引发的灵性冲动的需要，就是一直存在这两方的巨大的一种张力。
Jesus said something like, I don't know the exact quote, but give to God what belongs to God, and give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. And Caesar was the emperor of Rome. So he meant, like, when the government asks you to pay your taxes or obey the law, you just do it. It's just earthly stuff, but don't worship an emperor. Don't, because in those days they'd want you to worship the emperor or something. But the Jews refused to do that. They would only worship God. They wouldn't worship a human being. So that's what he's saying is give God what God deserves, and then do what the ruler tells you on this earth too. So you do serve two masters. You serve two masters here on this life.
Yes. 那么圣经上就有是新约上面有一句话哈，耶稣说的，那么把属于神的归给神，把属于凯撒的归给凯撒。那么就是凯撒是那个罗马那个时候古罗马的一个国王嘛，那么他是希望人像崇拜神一样敬拜他们的，对，这就是但是犹太人就是只敬拜神嘛。那但是呢，就是 这地方也是，就是说这一段，就是实际上在我们的这个物质世界上，我们是需要满足一些那个物质界的那个要求，要一种这种顺服的一种态度来满足物质界的要求。对，另外一方面，我们的敬拜只是留给神的。
We're here on this world for a reason. It's not a mistake. You know, we're the only beings who start off this low, but we can go as high as we want. There's no limit to how high and how spiritual we can become.
对，我们的这个物质界是有个理由的，往上去超升进展，扬升呢是没有上限的。
They're saying that in this life we serve, in the next life, in the Marancha life, in the universe, in the super universe lives, we will only serve God because our rulers and our leaders will be serving God. So we will also be serving God. But in this life, we're juggling two completely different realities. One was our thought adjuster inside of us on a completely spiritual plane, and then the whole material world around us.
那就是在将来的宇宙和超级宇宙当中呢，我们就是在下一个灵智性世界，我们只有一个主人，因为我们的领导者他们也是属灵的。那但是在这个物质界呢，我们的确来讲，我们是要有两个主人，因为我们的领导者他们不是属灵的。
That's why I think that these monks in Tibet and these yogis who, sit in a cave and 20 years, I think they're missing the point of this life. We're here for a reason. We'll have all of eternity to become more and more godlike. Here we have to master these two realities. And if we do, it's hard. They're saying right here, this is why so many falter and fail, grow weary, and succumb to the stress of the evolutionary struggle. It's very hard to live in one reality, knowing that there's a higher reality so close to us in our hearts and out there, but we're not in it yet. That's hard. But if we can master it, we become a kind of special being that no one else in the whole universe has that experience of having lived a completely physical life as their first life. And it gives us an extra advantage, an extra kind of experience that's very, very rich and will really help us deal with things in the future.
就是那个你像那些的那个出家人啊，然后或者是那些的瑜伽士啊，他们在山里边这20年那样隐居啊，他们实际上对，就是失去很大的一部分有价值的体验生活的机会。那么我们呢就是在这个物质世界实际上学习同时掌握两种实相，就是生活在两种实相当中，如果没有调整好的话，就是容易就是动摇和失败啊，变得疲惫并屈服。那么实际上我们生活在这个物质界，但是我们又意识到有一个灵性的世界是跟我们非常的接近的。那如果我们能够在两个世界当中都能够自如的话，那么我们就成为很特别的一存有，就是既能完全的在掌握物质世界的生活，又能够保证我们扬升到那个灵性世界内。这样的话就使我们有特别的有利的地方，对我们特别有利，就是说帮助我们就是面对更多的挑战。
It says man must become adept in the art of a continuous human temporal compromise while he yields spiritual allegiance to but one master And that is why so many fail. So that's our challenge. Our challenge is to master this, to not resent it, not hate it, not let it defeat us. I would say use the spiritual element of our life to help us master the material. It can. We can rely, it's a greater, higher force that can help us through anything physical. Because you see, you know, they say mind over matter. Well, mind is more powerful than matter, and spirit is more powerful than mind. So spirit is always the most powerful.
对，他就说呀，我们实际上这个挑战，对这种挑战不能够光抱怨啊，或者让他来打败我们呐。实际上我们要利用这个属灵的这些的元素来帮助我们更好的就是处理物质世界的问题，因为就是灵性世界当然是就是对，灵性比这个心灵比那个心智啊是更，就是灵性是高于心智的，就是它的力量是高过心智的，那么它来帮助我们克服物质界的挑战是可以达成的。
You've all seen those Chinese chi, do you call it chi masters? The energy chi?
Chi master, Qi Gong 大师。
You've seen these guys, how they can, like, one chi master can just, all these men line up and come towards him, and he just puts his arms out and he can keep them. You've seen that, right?
他的发功的时候，大概就是说能把一串的人都能击倒啊。Okay.
Have you all seen that?
No, I don't.
But you have to watch a video. It's amazing. I haven't seen it for a long time. You get this master, and he stands there, and 7 men will all come rushing towards him in a line, and he puts his arms out and he holds them back with energy. You can see it on video. They can't knock him over. They can't. They fall back from the energy he puts out.
他就是好像7个人什么的，就试图想把他推倒，都推不倒，然后，但是他一个人想就能能敌过这7个人。
That's a perfect demonstration of the power of mind over matter.
对，这是物质和心智的力量，那么实际上心智的力量更大。
And spirit is even more powerful over mind than mind is over matter.
对，那就是灵性高于心智，就是更大于，就是说心智高于物质的部分。
Because everything is made up of the same stuff, and spirit is the pure form of it, the purest form of the stuff that everything physical and mental is made up of this same kind of energies. And then spirit is a higher form, so it's more powerful than these. They're like, it's the same energy, but they're like slower. It's like rock is very slow, and then a plant is pretty slow, and then an animal's a little faster, and then a person's mind is a little faster, but then a spirit is the frequency is much. I think it's faster. It could just be something like higher, but I think it's actually faster. But I'm not a scientist, so I'm not. Well, actually, how would a scientist even know? A metaphysicist. But you know what I'm saying.
对，那个实际上这个不管灵性啊、心智啊、物质啊，都是由能量组成的。那么是灵性，它是更高、更那个纯的形式的能量。
It's all the same stuff. Spiritual, mental, and physical. It's all the same stuff. It's just vibrating at different frequencies.
那都是同样的那个能量，但是只是振动频率的不同，灵性的振动频率是最高的。
But it's just like oh, never mind. So
Yep. Last.
yeah. Yeah. So anyway, we're not supposed to escape this life. We're supposed to juggle both realities in a nice balance. And when we do that, later we're going to really benefit from having succeeded, having mastered a very difficult challenge on our first life. That's what I'm saying.
这个我们不是不能够逃离这个物质世界，然后我们要同时在两个这个现实实相当中呢，得到一种平衡啊，这样的达到这种平衡的成功，对我们下一阶段的成长非常有益。Yeah.
Okay, so my speaker just went off, but I can hear you. So I would say, well, let's see what the last paragraph says of this section. While the hereditary legacy of cerebral endowment and that of the electrochemical overcontrol both operate to delimit the sphere of efficient adjuster activity, no hereditary handicap in norm ever prevents eventual spirit. Okay, so they're saying that our mental capacity and mortal heritage limits the efficiency of the adjuster. We're not spiritual beings, is what it's saying. We're physical primitive beings. The adjuster is a pure spirit. He has trouble relating to us, trouble doing it. It's not easy for him to get through to us, but no hereditary handicap in a normal mind. Okay, if you're retarded or that's a different story, but no handicap that we have as mortal beings ever prevents spiritual achievement. So it's hard, but that's where we're headed. We will, if we want to get there, if we want to achieve great spiritual heights, either in this life or the next life or forever and ever, we will. There's nothing can stop that from happening if we want it to happen.
对，他这个最后这一段呢，就说这虽然这个我们大脑禀赋啊、电化学过度控制的遗传在运作，就是我们的物质性障碍在运作，但实际上因为这些的障碍都没有办法阻止最终的灵性达成，就是说还是灵性高于这个物质嘛，他想达成的目标最终还是会达成的，我们就是会跟那个就是灵性进展方面最终还是会达成这个灵智化的。
So when they talk about personality conquest, they're talking about the 7 psychic circles. So in our life, there are 7 levels of consciousness and coordination, I would say, because that we can potentially achieve. And we start at 7 and we work our way to number 1. But not all mortals achieve all 7. I'd say most do not. But it's okay, because if you only get to 1 or 2 or 3, that's fine, because you'll just pick up on the Marancha world where you left off here.
那人格的那个达成的7个阶段，那个心灵圆圈吧，它就是当然我们肉身 的时候，有可能不会7个全达成，但是我们一圈一圈的往上，没有肉身没有达成的人在灵智化的阶段，下一个，然后再继续完成，就是你
You can develop your faith and have great faith, and you can develop the love in your heart, and you can serve others and be a very good person, and not have the mental or psychological capacity to reach all 7 of the circles. That you can still be a great person, you can still have great faith, you can still definitely get to the Marancha world. These they call it personality conquest, but these 7 psychic circles have a lot to do with your DNA, with your ancestors, with your mental capacity, with your philosophical and psychological. It's like a balance. It's like your ability to achieve a balance in life, psychologically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And it's separate from your faith. It is spiritual development, but it's also philosophical and mental and psychological development. And you just go at the pace you go at. It's not a hindrance. What they're saying is, if your ancestry or DNA is keeping you from achieving all 7 psychic circles, it doesn't matter, because it won't prevent your ability to go to the Marancha worlds, to merge with your adjuster, and to eventually meet Jesus, our creator son, and then eventually God, our paradise father. That's a lot, I know, but
Yeah， 这人格正符的7个圆圈嘛，那就是就是现在在我们这个就是马上的就现在的那个这个实相当中，我们就是要发展强化我们的信念信仰，然后爱和慈悲嘛，服务他人，然后呢这个7个圆圈能够达到哪个程度，当然也是取决于我们的遗传呐，我们这些其他的物质的这个或者是什么脑力啊、心灵能力啊这些的，有一些的不在我们的掌控之中的，就是说我们这一生能达到哪一个地步，但是就是我们致力于我们能达到的，能这个什么的。对，那就是达不到的，那么在灵智体的那些的人生当中再去继续达成。
we're going to read about the 7 psychic circles very soon.
我们7个心灵圆圈可能很快就会读到了。
So, we go at our own pace. Some people merge with their thought adjuster here on this life. Very, very few. But people, they have Enoch. I think there was a guy named a prophet named Enoch, and he merged in this life with this thought adjuster.
那我们就是7个心灵圆圈全部达成的，在非常的难，在这个非常少啊。大概就是一个圣经里边人物也叫以诺的，有可能他是7个就全都达成了。
In the Bible, it says that he went up in a chariot. They say a chariot of flames, and then he was seen no more. That he burst into flames, and then they never saw him again.
圣经当中是说他就是乘上那种轮子冒火的马车，就是走了，再也没有出现。
And there is this phenomenon on earth. I don't know if it's the same thing, because the Urantia book doesn't say if it's the same thing or not. But the Urantia book does say that he's not the only one who has done this, that other people have merged with their thought adjuster in this life. And there is a phenomenon. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Ricky, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called spontaneous human combustion. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that might be merging with your thought adjuster because it's the same thing. People will be standing on a street, they'll see a burst of flames, and then that people will be gone and never seen again, and they just see like a kind of a greasy smear on the sidewalk.
那就是跟思想调整者融合之后，就是这种的一诺这种的白日飞升啊，什么作画呀，那个西藏喇嘛作画啊什么的，就是这种，就是它是完全跟思想调整者融合了之后，就是完全灵智化了，就是这样的一种现象。
It's definitely a real thing.
他说这是真实的，这是可能发生
So
的。
that might be, I don't know what else it could be. I think that's probably people who are merging with their thought adjusters right here in this life. I mean, it's not many.
不对，但是不太多，对，就是这一生今生就跟思想调整者融合了。
But it doesn't matter how fast or how slow you go, as long as you're moving towards God and not away from him.
对，但是就是只要你有心要跟神更接近，那么这个是早晚都会达成的，就是跟神完全融合这样的一个境界。不在以后，对。
And it is the last sentence, and then we'll go to the Chinese religion part. It says,
No, we don't. I don't think we have time.
Oh, okay. Then this will be the last sentence. If you will, it says, if you will cooperate with your adjuster, the divine gift will, the divine gift, the adjuster will sooner or later evolve the immortal Marancha soul, and subsequent to fusion, when you fuse, will present the new creature, that's your new self, to the sovereign master son of the local universe, and eventually to the father of adjusters on paradise. I always wonder how Jesus meets all of us personally, because there's so many planets and systems and local systems in the local universe, right? There's like, I don't know, 10,000 or whatever. I forget how many. And, there's so many people and so many beings. Like, how does he have time? How does he meet everyone? But he does. We all get to meet him personally. I think it's because time is just different.
Time is illusion, we have limited life. We have unlimited time. Time is eternal.
Yeah, there's unlimited time, and we don't die, so we live forever, so we have all the time in the world. But that doesn't mean, like, it does that could mean, oh well, in 3 million billion years you'll meet him, because time is eternal. But it doesn't seem like you have to wait. Like, when you're ready to meet him, you meet him. You know what I mean? So somehow there is time. There absolutely is time in the universe and super universes. Only on paradise, where God is there, that transcends time on paradise. But all of the super universes, they do have time. It's just it's much like one year on Urantia might be like 1 minute on Uversa. It's much slower out in these mortal planets. But I just don't see how, even with a different time, I don't see how Jesus, I don't know how. I think maybe Jesus is so highly spiritual that he operates maybe a little bit outside of time, or maybe, but it says he can't be in two places at once. See, it's very confusing to me. I've never been able to figure that out.
时间这个在超级宇宙当中是有时间的，但是在哈瓦那那个天堂那个 和乐园那个地方是时间是永恒的，相当于没有时间的。但是在超级宇宙是有的，他就是在那儿想怎么这么多的扬升的从物质界扬升的这个体到最后融合之后都要见这个地方宇宙的主权之子嘛，那就是对我们来说就是耶稣嘛。那耶稣他就说怎么有时间见这么多的扬升的受造物，可实际上
Because they say it says the creative spirit, the creative mother spirit, she can be in many places at once. She's not limited by space, but the creator sons, the Michael sons, everyone else is. Well, I don't know about everyone else, but the Michael sons, the creator sons are. But it's possible that, so many near-death experiencers meet Jesus, and it's really him. I mean, they describe him, they feel his presence, they recognize him. And I had a dream, I think I told you guys, and in my dream I met Jesus. I felt like that was real, that I really did, that I really did meet him. I felt that. But so it's possible that even though he is in one place, that his spirit can be in other places at the same time or something like that. I don't know.
对，他就说这个造物母灵是可以到处哪儿都在的。就说这个造物之子呢，就只能在一个地方，但是有可能他的灵可以无处不在吧。然后他说很多就濒死体验的人，那个就都是看到这个耶稣，宣称自己看到耶稣。他说他在梦里边也看到过。
但是这个 sorry about the Jesus，就是我想说的是，这个关于耶稣，就是说我们看到的这个耶稣，并不是作为一个人看到他，而是作为一个 Christ consciousness 看到他。所以就是说，我们想象当中把耶稣想象成是一个人的耶稣，但实际上我们看到的是那个基督意识。这个是一个共享的，所以就不存在时间空间的问题，我是这么看。
Yeah. Shirley's comments said indeed we might have seen Christ spirit in the Christ consciousness, so that is shared. So whenever we are in that frequency, we are able to see him. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
that's
a personality. So we should not view him as a personality that can only appear at one limited time and space.
No, I absolutely agree, and that anytime we want to just connect to Jesus, it's like God, we can do it, and also because he poured out the spirit of truth on the planet, and that helps too. But I definitely agree with that. But I also, this says he will, after we fuse, our adjuster will present the new creature to the sovereign master son of the local universe. Like present us. It sounds like there's on top of that being able to connect with spirit anytime. I definitely agree with that. But I think we also meet him in person at some point. All of us. That means everyone in the whole local universe probably gets to meet him in person. I just don't know how that would happen, but I do believe it.
然后还得同意这个沈利的说法，尤其是那个像耶稣他播撒的真理之灵嘛，那的确是无处不在的哈。我们在灵里边是可以见到他的，但是这个地方呢，它是更倾向于在人格层面，因为那个我们的进化嘛，从那个物质到灵质性，灵魂到最后与这个神的片段完全融合之后呢，成为新的一个造物，呈现给这个主权之子。那这些更从人格的进化的角度说的。那么实在是来讲，每一个个体都是有机会 以人格的一种方式来见到这个主权之子的。
There's a lot of things we'll have to wait till we're on the Marancha worlds to know.
我们这很多的那个大概就是只有在来下世界，就是灵智世界之后，我们才会明白。对，因为讲的这些都是对灵界的事情。是 ，Yeah, I'm sure that we talk about that, but we literally we don't understand.
No, we can't. It can't. We can't. We just there's many things that we just can't know.
Yeah, we just imagine it, but we don't have the experience.
Yeah.
对，我们只是可以想象，但是我们没有经历。对神力的评论，是的。
I
Yeah.
mean, we can believe it. It's good, it's good to know. It's good to know that our thought adjusters, we're going to merge, and then they're going to, at some point, we're going to meet Jesus face to face. That's a wonderful idea. I don't know how he has time, but I do believe it will happen.
Yeah, indeed, I believe. I
我
don't
们
know
要在
how I can believe this, but I
对，
do
我们
believe.
就是不知道怎样，这会怎样发生，但是我们有信心，就是有这样的信仰、信念，这个会发生。对，很好 ，Good。
I think it has something to do with time being different, or being different. Like time does exist in these other realms, but there's something like maybe he exists in a slightly, maybe he can exist in a slightly different time. We'll see. A lot to look forward to. We have a lot of great mysteries will be solved. But one thing these authors tell us is that no matter how advanced you get, how evolved, how spiritual, there are always mysteries. There's these high being authors of this book will say, this is something we don't know. We guess about this, we assume it's this, but we don't know. So there'll always be mysteries that we don't understand. Always.
对，这些的预言下之书，这些作者也一再的表示，就是这个这个秘密，就神秘的界域，它总是存在的很多的，不管你进化的多么的高，然后总是会有一些的实相你还没有了解。那么这些作者经常说我们猜想是什么样子的，我们不知道什么什么的。对，所以就是一直就是说这个也一定是会有这个奥秘在的。
Maybe we should turn off the recording.
Yeah. 好，今天的我们只读了这一节。对，下一次是那个是这个 Eric 做翻译。对。